Alright, welcome to Big Book System. We provide the best online training platform for engineering and architecture tutorial. Do not forget to subscribe and like our page for helpful tutorial on daily basis. Let me launch my application. For this tutorial, I'll be discussing about dimensioning. Dimensioning in Revit is simply a way of adding measurements to your drawing. As you can see, I have an already design, just developing a design in 3D. I've discussed about how you can create this roof. Just feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, then you can see how you can do most of all these things. So now, I want to focus on dimensioning. Let me take my design to plan view, which is level 1, as the case may be. Here, I'll focus on this aspect of my drawing. Dimensioning, as you can see, is a simple way of adding measurement, but it goes beyond measurement ordinarily. Now you can see that on architectures, you can go to annotate, and you can start dimensioning your design. Of course, dimensionings are part of your documentation. So let me click on annotate. Here you can see that on annotate, you have the dimensions, ribbon, we have detail, text, and tag. All these are constituencies of annotation. Now, I will look at few dimensions here. Of course, I'll likely discuss about dimensioning in another video again. Now, let's look at this. You can see that I have my align dimension. You see, this is going to place dimensions between parallel reference or between multiple points. I also have my linear dimension. I have my angular dimension, the radius, diameter, and up to spot slope. Let me focus on my align dimension. If I actually click on dimension here, you can see that I have dimension style properties. If I click on this drop down, you can see that there are varieties of styles here. Feel free to run through each of those styles at a convenient time, but let me just maintain the default style. Then I can start inputting my dimensions. Mind you, I have some settings to do here under edit type, so I can click on edit type, and this is going to give me access to the properties of my dimension, of which I can control a lot of things from this point. I can do that before, or I can do it after. It all depends. Let me maintain whatever it is here and then just do it after. So now I can start my dimension. Professionally, there are different procedures through which you can do your dimensioning. You can see that here I have wall center line. If I click on this drop down, I have wall face, center of core, faces of core. Then I have different procedure through which I can actually reference my dimension. That is either individual reference or entire wall. You can see that there are two peak decisions here. Now I will maintain the default one, which is wall center line, and of course individual references. So now I'm going to say, you can see now this is snapping through my wall center line. Let's assume I say wall face. You can see that it's picking the edges here, or the edges here, not center line. So I'll maintain my wall center line. Now I'll pick this point to the next wall center line. I'll click, then I'll reach up. When I get to that aligned point, I can click and release my mouse. I can do the same thing here. Good. And I can pick this center line as well. Good. And this is what you refer to as center to center line dimension. Let me proceed. Select this and then pick this, then you go up. That's cool. Now that I have all this, I can decide to say I want to pick entire wall to dimension it. So all I just need to do is to, like this wall, just click on it and just move out. It's going to automatically give you the dimension of the entire wall. You don't need to start picking one center line from this point to this point. You don't need that. And you can see this, I can dimension the entire line here as well. That's a simple procedure through which you can dimension. I have faces of core and likes of them like that. One thing you must understand is that outside your pick and then reference, you can see that here there's an options here, and this options is talking about the reference as well of dimensions. Of course, you can see that it's center and it's not width that I'm using. You can always click on that to open, then you can select this. Meanwhile, let me just maintain the settings the way it is. Now here you can see that I've just input this value. I've input my dimension. I can pick this, and then you can see center line. I can see that, and so on like that. Now on this dimension, I can now decide to click on edit type, and here I'll look at options that I have here. One of the things you can see on your setting is leader type, which is arc. And you can see our leader type. If I click on this drop down, you can see I can see line instead of arc. If I said apply, you might likely not see the effect so much. So there are so many things you can always deal with here. Outside that, if I just scroll my property control down, I have so many things I can deal with, like to bold your dimension, like to italic it, or to underline it. All these are features you can deal with. Apply. I can see that it's bold and italic. Remove the italic, apply. You can see that it's bold, but the italic is not there. Some other things you can look at is your prefix and suffix, of which you can use that to identify, but in general terms, on then preparing your drawing for documentation, the notes are already there that all your designs are in For example, you can see that here we have dimension, prefix and suffix. Just trying to locate that. It's already on the system, so all you just to do is to alternate unit prefix, alternate suffix, and the likes of them like that. And then if I say it here, I said apply, I couldn't find anything here. Normally I'm supposed to, but because it is in alternate, and that is why I couldn't find anything there. Alternate right, above or below. They are very essential aspects of your dimensioning. I'm trying to see that particular symbol. You can maintain this, and now let me check very appropriately. You can see gap in witness line. All these are simple things that you can always feel free to play around with yourself, but in a very simple terms, that is a simple procedure through which you can create your dimensioning, and that is that about that for creating your dimensioning. Most cases, there are a few things you can also do. Most times your dimension can also be replaced with text. Let me apply this and just say okay. You can see this is one of my dimension, and then you can see that here I have 515. If I should double click on it, what is going to happen is that it's going to show me dimension text, and it's telling me that the actual value of this dimension is 5150, I can either replace it with text or maintain that. So I can see that equals that, and then you can see now individually you can always also add that previous or surface that I talk about. So you can see this is the value, you can see your previous, you can see your surface, and if I say this should be mm and I said apply, okay, that applies to this ordinarily, not the entire dimension. But of course you can always apply it to the entire dimension instead of taking it one by one. It depends on the dimension style type that you're using. So that is that about that. Thanks for watching this video, and then in some of my other video I have other way of explaining some other things in dimensioning. Like if I go back to annotations before I wrap up the class, you can see that here I have angular dimension. When you click on angular dimension, for example, let's look at this angle. Because it's still was center line, we pick this point, and you can see that it gives us angle 90. Just drop, and you can see that is cool. And now you can add your dimensions to your design. So that is that about that. Always like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more helpful tutorial, and then thanks for watching this video.